bit of park art outside this house or business. I can't be sure which, but notice it looks like it's got a big vise that's holding that love sculpture. Chinese takeaway and business pop art. In spite of the modern, there's still evidence of the older, not only in these buildings, but in these large properties that are just fallow, or not, as we saw earlier with that mini farmland. But most everything you see is now modern. Someone lives in that old building and barn complex. And that architecture just is that in the main. You can color it, you can put some embellishments on the outside, but it remains what it is all over the world, just varies in degree of uninteresting. This is a small park in Shan, neighboring town, lies to the north of Vaduz. That's the south down there. This park, I think, exemplifies the town so far as its architecture, and that is modern, and every attempt to try and make something interesting where it's otherwise not. An art gallery or a museum or something like that. The only detail on these columns, of course, this may be interpreted as modern ultra restraint in architecture, and I would agree. Few elements of a past, but most of it is this stuff here, and I think it reflects the rapid acceleration into wealth that occurred since 1970. This looks interesting. Let's go see. A wealthy home of the past, I'm sure, but again, almost devoid of any real interesting imagination. What is done is well done and well maintained. Just seems too modern. But if you lived here, this is where you live, and it's a pretty damn good way of life. There were some cars parked down next to that little park. Don't know if you noticed, they were parked on about 1-inch thick rubber pads. This is Tak. I was drawn to it because of a sign, and I looked down and saw the beautiful blue color and what looks like some imaginative architecture. And it is modern, but that little cupola up on top, cupola, seems to try to reflect or allude to the past. An older building next to it. This is a thickly stuccoed surface, then painted this very pretty Dresden brown, blue. Modest fountain design. These stones that you see, those holes you see from drilling where they take them out of the quarry, is how they buttress up a lot of walls. You see them all over Switzerland. Not that size, but with those markings on them. Restoration of some sort. To what purpose, I don't know. In other words, will they replicate something old, or will they put in something new? Pretty area outside of what's probably some kind of business, but that area that could be park-like doesn't even have a chair. If this church is in any way at all old, it belies it by the beautiful maintenance of the surface. Reference on that sign to 1888. All of this, I'm almost positive, has to have been restored recently. It's just too neat, too clean. I don't know if we can enter underneath that glass portal. Though we don't have access, we'll just take it for what we see on the outside. Looks to be some kind of stainless glass, but modern, I think. I have to look at this scaffolding and compare it to what you see in Asia. Oftentimes a very, what looks like incredibly flimsy bamboo scaffolding that goes much, much higher with no stairs. People move precariously around with nothing to hold them on. So this part is extended out as a buttressing for that entire scaffold. The other scaffold we looked at used a heavy concrete street divider to stabilize the whole system. 1840, 1858, 1929. Can't tell whether that man's holding a sword or some kind of farming implement, nor what that lady is offering as she kneels, and appears to be carrying an axe. Notice how they foam in whatever those canisters are there. It's like this pipe here is supposed to connect over to that one there. I wonder how they'll ultimately do it and why. It's like this pipe here is supposed to connect over to that one there. I wonder how they'll ultimately do it and why. I've seen this church going north from the church we just looked at. We'll go up and see what it is, assuming it is a church. So this answers that question. This is a tower from the southeast corner, not appearing to have a church associated with it. It may simply be the town's bell tower, or if there's a clock on the other side, the clock tower. Adjacent to the tower is the cemetery. Adjacent to the tower is this cemetery. It'd be interesting to see the dates here. Spelt name is interesting. I've seen it on some large, look like quasi-industrial complexes. I should say more like medium size. Notice how beautifully maintained this is, as one would expect in this country or Switzerland. I'm guessing that this is a chapel, although it may be a crypt for the especially important that it ranges up beyond, and that the walls are decorated with those panels rather than crypts like we've seen in some cemeteries. What's interesting is that while there is a great deal of uniformity in the way of gravestones, there's also some considerable novelty. This one in particular, that has a name carved in the stone. Is it possible this person carved it in herself? This one made of wood, 1991. Is this a family? People cremated and their remains underneath these stones? How did you choose what you preferred for your eternity? Ludwig, a nice looking man, 68 years old. Notice the name of this manufacturer of tools. A little bowl with a brush in it, perhaps for continuing to clean the surface of your stones. Here on Hilti, someone has left small tokens. The Jewish people do this as a cord. They will put stones on the top of the gravestone. Imagine the lives these people touched, the memories that they left behind, unfortunately soon to be left in the dust of history. Yin Yang. These are, in fact, like some of the other cemeteries I've been in, principally the one in Edinburgh. Appear to be for families. Each of these has a receptacle for a brush and some water. Perhaps it's the equivalent of holy water. More Hilties. Number of walzers. What this gauzy ribbon is for. Was it something off their deathbed? These people died in 17. It's possible. More Hilties. Interesting, when I come to places like this, I have to reflect on my own philosophy. And that is that I hope there will be almost no trace of me, because I think I have left nothing of significance for humanity to dwell on. And if I have, it's unbeknownst to me. I have no interest in taking credit, except for those who make a difference, as simply being shooting stars in a vast cosmos of history.